I've been a huge fan of Umberto LENZO for many, many years, and one of the first, probably not one of the first, the first movie I ever saw of him was Nightmare City, which I still is one of my favorite movies. It's an amazing mutant people movie. It's not a zombie movie, as we all know, I hope. But I have another Lenzi favorite also. I have many favorites, but this one has been close to my heart for many, many years. And I will show you something first. Let's see here. 13 years ago, I reached out to Umberto Lenzi through I don't really remember why. Probably I wrote him a physical letter, a written letter, and sent to Italy. And a couple of weeks later, this came back. I have it in frame now because I'm a very, very nerdy person. I got this back. It's a printout from some crappy homepage. And it's to Fred Anderson, great, lots of best greetings from Umberto Lenzi, and it's a printout of an information page about Eyeball, which is it's a giallo he released in 1975. He also points out here he's circled one of the names, Olga Pihar. And he also mentioned here that this is his wife, so he's proud of it, and he's proud that his wife is in it, Olga. So I think that's cool. But now I have it in my collection, and I feel proud of it. So today, 40 years later. Not from this one, but 40 years later, until since it was released, I rewatched Eyeball on this old. Probably, I think it's one of the few, probably the only DVD release out from marketing film in Germany. It's quite crappy release. It's in widescreen and it's uncut, but it's still, it leaves a lot to wish, you really want something better. So I hope it will come out on Blu-ray sooner or later, remastered, whatever. As long as it looks better than this. Eyeball is probably one of the most absurd giallos ever made. It's set mostly on a bus or around a bus, where a group of American tourists is traveling through Spain. They're going to Barcelona and then to Sitges, and the thing is, of course, that they're killed one by one by a knife-stabbing, eye-poking killer who obviously wants them dead. But the weird thing is, of course, that they continue to go with this bus and hang out with all these suspects, because everyone could be a murderer. Because I quite few of them, and the police don't believe the killer is following them in a car. One of them is the killer. One of them is carving the eyes out of beautiful women. And so this makes it totally absurd. But still, I think that Umberto Lenzi knew the absurdity of the story, and there's a twinkle in the eye. The characters are a little bit over the top, and you can see Lenzi's lovely left-wing anarchy opinions from time to time. There's a priest in who's obviously some kind of pedophile, and he makes fun of Americans and how they behave. And still creates a quite okay murder mystery. It's not logical at all, but it's entertaining, and it's quite gory, and for those who likes that, there's a lot of nudity. The killer is also really cool. The killer is wearing a red raincoat and some kind of red mask and red gloves. So instead of this typical black dressed killer, you see this red figure stalking these people in hotel rooms or around tourist attractions. It's a crazy movie. What I what I especially like about it is John Richardson, who plays one of the leads, and also, of course, a murder suspect. Very talented, I think, a very talented character actor who later, he disappeared from the movie scene and became a photographer. He still lives in the UK somewhere. Great actor, but what I've heard, he don't want to have any connection. He don't want to talk about his old genre movies. I think one of his last movies was maybe Murder Obsession with Anita Strindberg, or it's at least one of his last horror movies. So I guess quite few of you out there have seen Eyeball, because it's quite hard to find nowadays. I'm not sure this DVD is available anymore, but if you have a chance to see it, do it, and keep your eyes open, of course. But yeah, take care. Keep your mind open. Because don't expect the smartest giallo or the most slickest or the most beautiful giallo. It's more quite risky, gritty, sleazy, gory, sloppy sometimes, with a lot of handheld camera. Quite experimental, sometimes quite psychedelic. There's a couple of beautiful sequences inside a haunted house, or at the Tivoli, which looks beautiful, but also feels like something more from a 60s movie with all the colors and weird angles and crazy music. Lenzi has done better giallos. He's done more slicker and smarter stuff, but this one is probably the one closest to my heart because it's so primitive. It's so shamelessly entertaining. It refuses to bore you. So Eyeball, 40 years ago it was released. It's also the 40th film I'm watching this year, 2015. Imagine that. Yeah. 40 years ago it was released, and hardly anyone remembers it. So 40 years ago it was released and hardly anyone remembers it. At least, the normal people only watches Dario Argento giallos or Lucio Fulci's. Oh, they're great. Believe me, I'm not bashing anyone here. But give Eyeball a try, and remember that Umberto Lenzi is one of the best genre directors out of Italy, but very, very few understand that. But I'm telling you, that's how it is.